Hey everybody, hope you're having a wonderful day today. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing something just a little bit different compared to the other stuff that I've done before. And this is going to be a breakdown of a video game soundtrack, one of my favorites, and from one of my favorites games growing up here. And so this is from Super Mario Galaxy, and today we're going to be talking about the Good Egg Galaxy. So before I start, I wanted to mention that this is a collaboration with another composer. His name is Alec Weesner, and he has his own YouTube channel and his own social media where he does, a ton of breakdown videos, video game soundtracks. He's a video game composer himself, so he, recreates a lot of scores, and he breaks them down, talks about all the things he's doing, and why the music works the way it does. So it's a really good resource for those who are looking to get more into video game composition and just understand the ins and outs of some orchestration and why the music works the way it does. And so for my section, I wanted to go into the theory part of this music here. So I'm going to be talking about the chord progressions and the melody and why it works and stuff like that. So let's get right into it, and we'll start with the intro right away. Here we go. Okay, so right away, we don't know 100% the key just yet, because we have something like this, right? So what kind of sound does that give us? Well, in the melody, we get something like this. These first few notes, this outlines a C major chord. Okay, pretty simple, but in the bass, we have a G, so basically this is a C major second inversion. Right there. Now, this hints at the piece maybe being in C major, but we just don't know yet for sure. Then the next chord, now we have an B flat major chord over E flat. And the reason why this sounds so colorful and so different is because neither of these chords, B flat major and the note E flat, neither of these belong in C major. So these are basically taken from outside of C major and brought in for a moment just to add some additional flair, additional color. And so it's very effective. So, right, like you can definitely hear it doesn't sound like something sounds exotic about it, okay? And then the orchestration builds all the way up, and then what do we get right after that? Let's find out. So now we're solidly in C major. Okay, let's just hear the rest of that here. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit. So we have, basically, the first thing you should know is that the pedal, or in the bottom, in the bass, there's a consistent C holding there. So no matter what happens, no matter what's happening in the melody, for this section anyway, it's completely C the whole way. And what that does is it assures the listener that we're solidly in the key of C major. There's nothing that will take us away from it, even if the melody travels a little bit here and there. But, tonally or key-wise, we know where we're sitting, okay? So we're definitely in C major. Now, in terms of the melody, it's quite simple. Dun, 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 which is basically E, F, F, D. But in the bottom, we have sixths. So if you know what intervals are, they're basically just the distances between two notes. So if you have like someone singing one note, da, and then another person singing underneath, da, then that person is creating a harmony underneath. Okay? So there's a harmony of a sixth going on here, distance-wise. So we have major sixth, minor sixth, major sixth. The major and the minor sixth, like going between major and minor, doesn't really matter as long as you stay within the notes of C major, which is basically all white keys, no black keys. Okay, so very simple. And one thing I wanted to bring up actually is that the use of sixth versus thirds, because if you're not aware actually, using a third, for example, a C and an E, is using the same notes as using a sixth. So for example, you can do EC, and that's a sixth, but I'm still using both C and E. I've just switched around the order, so instead of a C and an E being together, I've moved the C to the top, so now it's a wider range, or it's a bigger interval between the two notes. So while tonally they may sound the same, the effect is slightly different. The sixth is a little bit larger, right? So that naturally means that our ear perceives this as a more open and rounded sound, right? So it's a different color, even though we're still using the same notes for comparing a third to a sixth. Okay, so just something to note. So Nintendo could have just went, but you hear how the thirds sound kind of closed and not very open in versus like the third underneath, you can really hear it as its own voice. Sorry, the sixth underneath, maybe I said third, but I meant the sixth. So, and then we get right? So, and then more, that's basically more sixths. So that's a major sixth, and then we resolve to a perfect fifth. And a perfect fifth is a very resolved, a very clean and comforting interval. So, you know, the perfect intervals are basically unison, a perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and perfect octave. So all of these intervals have a very like innocent quality to them, which we get to at the end of this phrase. So, right? So there's our perfect fifth right there. Okay, and then okay, so what is this right here? This is a major sixth, but the reason it sounds different, you can probably guess why, is because we're using notes from outside of C major. So C major is all the white keys. When we introduce notes like B flat, D flat, anything with a flat or sharp, in this case all the black keys, then they're going to sound slightly like exotic, slightly different, right? So both of these notes, B flat and D flat, which are the flat 7, B flat, and the flat 2, D flat, against the C, they sound a little bit dissonant. So they don't sound that great together, which is why that we then resolve to B and A flat. A flat is outside of C major, but B is not. So it's a little bit resolved because the B belongs to C major, and then we go back to our perfect fifth at the very end there. So it helps us to feel completely resolved and back home. So let's just hear this a little bit. You hear that there? So there, that's what we get there. And then same thing here. So it's the sixth in the melody. D flat and B flat. There we go. Let's hear this part. Okay, let's talk about this first. Okay, now, what is this happening here? Why does it feel like suddenly like Superman or something? Or maybe it's just me, maybe only I think that. But we have C major, which is very simple, very, you know, very resolved, right? We didn't do anything fancy yet. But now, why does that sound so uplifting and so cool? The reason is because we're in the Lydian mode. What the heck is that? Lydian is basically having a major scale, but you raising the fourth. So the F is the fourth in C major, so you raise that and you go to F sharp, and that's that Lydian sound. So basically what we have here is C major, but then we go to D major over C. So C is in the bass. Again, it's a pedal C for this section. So we're still on C in the bottom, but in the right hand we have D major. And D major has that F sharp, which creates this slightly exotic sound. So a lot of superhero or uplifting action movies use this Lydian sound, the sharp 4, just because it, like, you could have done this. Sounds a little boring just because F belongs in C major, so everything's very predictable. But if you sharp the 4, then it's like you're going to the next step, okay? And then he has it again, and then they resolve back to C major. So it's basically 1, or C major to D major 7 basically, and then, sorry, I should say D dominant 7th, and then back to C major. And then what do we have next? There it is again, and then... Okay, now, on the way back, we don't get this again, we get this. So what is that? That is basically a D half diminished chord. So it has a twinge of sadness, a twinge of like regret or something, and that's because diminished chords naturally have this sad feeling. So the notes in the D half diminished are D, F, A flat, and C. So a fully diminished chord would be D, F, A flat, and C flat, or B natural. In this case, we're not completely diminished. We still have a sense of hope because of this not flattened 7th note. Okay? And so it just resolves really easily back to C major. So there's our half diminished, D half diminished, resolving to C. Okay? So it's a little bit different compared to the first time it went C, D, D, C. This time it goes C, D, but D half diminished, then to C. So a little variation there. Okay, what is the sequence? It sounds gorgeous. Let's talk about it. Alright, what the heck is this? So, it's F major, the 4 chord going to the 5 chord. Now normally we would expect to go to 1, because a classical progression is very 4, 5, 1, right? But the composer's like, no, I'm not done yet. Then he goes to E minor 7, so, right? And this is basically 3, the 3 chord, or the 3rd chord in C major, which is minor, but he throws in the 7th there, so E minor 7, and then he goes to A major, okay? So let's do that again. So 4 to 5, E minor 7 to A major, and you could say A dominant 7, and this goes to D in the bottom. So it really makes sense. E, A, D, that's basically a 2-5-1 progression. So in this part here, we have a D9 chord. So let's hear what that sounds like. If you heard that there. Okay. There's actually... Now that I'm hearing the chord again, actually, I don't think it's a D9 chord, because a D9 chord would have been D, F sharp, A, C, that's a dominant 7th, and the 9th would have been the E on top, okay? And now I'm hearing A minor over D, which is basically the 6th chord in C major over D. So both work. Actually, it is the same thing. Sorry, my mistake. A minor over D is essentially D9. Whatever. Okay, so we have that. And then we get to C minor over D. So let's hear what that sounds like. So you hear that there. So C minor over D, slightly dissonant sounding because we have D and E flat clashing together. And you probably know that in music theory that semitones don't sound that great together. So when we extend the D down an octave, that's called a minor 9th, okay? And it's a very dissonant sound. So there we go. And now we go, the left hand or the bass goes up a semitone. So it goes from D to E flat, and we have a B flat minor chord in the right hand, okay? So let's see. So there is our C minor chord over D, okay? And then we have B flat minor over E flat, right? So there's that chord, and then you have F major over G, which is a very, like 4 over 5 is a very classic progression there. Okay, and then we go to 5-7 right there. Okay, so 4, 5, 1. And there's the classical progression we were talking about. So let's play that one more time. So we have D9, C minor. Now the bass goes up to E flat, and then we have B flat minor over E flat, and then we have 4 over 5 going to 5-7, going to 1. right there. Okay, and then next, let's see what we have. Alright, so so what is this progression? 1, starting on 1, very solidly roots us in C major. Then we go to 1/6. So 1/6 is basically first inversion, where instead of the root or the tonic on the bottom, we have the third of the chord on the bottom. So you feel like you've stepped up somewhere, it's a little more uplifting. And then we go to 4. And then we have flat 7, so B flat major. And now remember, B flat, or any black key, isn't in C major. So when we introduce it, it has this kind of outside feeling, which is really nice. And then we go to minor 7, so A minor 7, so that's A, C, E, G. And then we go to A flat major, which is flat 6. And then we go to F over G, and then 5, 7 to 1, okay? Another reason why this progression sounds so good, so this part is uplifting, goes up. Now after this B flat in the left hand, we go to A, which basically is a descending half step. So you're going down chromatically. And then we go to A flat, and then we go to G. So we basically go from B flat, B flat, A flat to G. So very, very smart stuff going on here. That like the bass plays a large role in how we feel as a listener. So if you can keep things going by step, or not traveling too far, it's all about voice leading. So it just really helps to make everything feel comfortable and very traditional in a way. Okay. Now really the only chord that changed there. So this is the repetition of the progression. Instead of flat 6, A flat major, it's basically flat minor 4, so F minor. So A7 to F minor first inversion, which is A flat. So interestingly, the first time was A flat major, which is A flat C, E flat. This is root position. But when you have F minor first inversion, you also have A flat on the bottom. So we're still maintaining that chromatic descension, right? It's just that the chord itself has slightly changed. And then we go to F major over G to G7 to C major. Okay? And that is pretty much it. And then that goes right back to the beginning with the sixth and stuff in the melody. So there you go. That is the theory behind Good at Galaxy. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please watch Alec's part where he discusses his actual recreation of the score and you know, the different orchestrational elements that went into it and stuff like that. So definitely check that out. I'll put it in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully maybe I'll do a breakdown of the Gusty Garden Galaxy one day, because that's like the favorite in the Super Mario Galaxy series, so we'll maybe do that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and until next time, I will see you in the next video.